All right, let's do this. Yo, what's good, gamers? What's good? My name is Dr. Ryan Charles, Psych Sensei, and it's been a hot second. Welcome to the stream. I hope the stream is gonna work. Dobby, you want to come up the stream too? Yo. All right, Dobby's ready. Everyone's ready. If it's your first time here, welcome. What I like to do is I like to read articles, and I haven't been reading articles in a while, so I figured that I need to get back into it. Funny story, I'm actually studying to take this other test, and bro, it's rough out there studying, so maybe I'm gonna do some other streams to study with all of you if you guys want to study with me. Maybe not study what I'm studying, but like you can study and I can study, we can study together, and we can exchange novel trees and enjoy studying. But if you want to learn more about me and what I do, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. And also, I'm trying to drop a lot of short form content, so if you want to go follow me on the Instagrams or the YouTubes or TikTok, find all those links on my website, psychsensei.com, or visit my Discord. It's pretty dead in there. I need to make it better, but you can find all the links to what I do on my Discord also. And if you really want to improve your mental, if you're tilting too much and you're a League player and you want to get better at not tilting, yo, visit my website, psychsensei.com, and fill out a free consultation form, and you and I can sit down and figure out what's going on, what's tilting you, what your tilt means, what you want to do with that tilt, how your tilt affects you, all those kinds of things. But yeah, my favorite part about those consultations is they're absolutely free. So sign up, let's talk stories. I'd love to get to know you. And yeah. Whew, Ultralisk, what's good, baby? I see you. I see you. How you? All right, so without any further ado, let's jump into it. And here's the best part. Even though even though this is for League of Legends, I think it applies to most MOBAs. I think it also applied to to games in general. I think tilt is a universal experience. I think we all kind of experience tilt, and we all experience tilt differently. I was born tilted, bro. I mean, I guess that's a strat, right? If you're born tilted, you can't be tilted because that's just a state of being, yeah. But no, Evelyn GF, what's good? I was actually gonna play some League, but then I played a game of Senna, and bruh, I got stomped, and I was like, I'm good. So that didn't go very well. But wait, bot, still OP. Hold on, I have no idea why this thing is not connecting now. It was connecting pre-stream, and now post-stream not connecting. So let me try to reset this bad boy and shake off the shake off the rust of streaming, man. It's been a while. I hope everyone's been well. Where's everyone been? I know Ultralisk has been playing a bunch of HOTS I've been seeing. How about you, Evelyn? Where you been, man? Where you been? What's good? And also, dude, I gotta watch myself because I got some warnings on the streaming they're saying that I'm using too many copyrighted musics. So, my bad. My bad. Does that kind of cook this? Fit the screen. Oh, that's what I want, right? Stretch the screen. The same? Ah. It looks great, right? It looks great. This looks fine. This looks great. Right, bro. You know, I was playing me some Rivals too. But here's the thing. Once the triple support meta came out, I'm like, bro. They're already so OP. Why is there 3 of them, bro? Why are there 3 supports and nobody's dying? Dude, that's where I draw the freaking line. You know what I mean? That's where I was at. I couldn't handle the 3 supports. All right. All right, we got this. We're working it. Hell yeah. All right, so today's article is entitled Understanding Tilt in Esports, a study on young League of Legends players. I really want to see how they define young. You know, probably over 18 because this is a study. I don't mind triple support in I'm a Magic main so I can one-shot. That's true. Okay, that's fair. And at the same time, I hate you because I always get one-shot by those people. It's not great. They just teleport away and then I'm left with devils just eating my face off. It's great. Awesome. Me, myself, I'm more of a Hulk player. I'm more of a Winter Soldier player, you know? And if I get too tilted, I'm a Mantis Windrick. All right. The awesome part about this article, too, is that it's done by people at UC Irvine, man. Awesome. Powerhouse in the esports education, higher education realm. So shout out to them. And also, this article is pretty recent, quote unquote, 2021. That's pretty recent, I'd say. That's pretty recent. So, and this is a shout out to Minerva Wu, Ji Soki Lee, and Constance Stein Kulher. I did my best. I did my best. I apologize if you are watching this VOD and I just totally messed up your name, but I did my best. Okay. And also, my friends, this is a conversation, as always. So if you want to talk about something else, or if you have an interesting thought, or if you want to talk K-pop, distract me. Please, let my ADHD bounce around. All right. I need more light. All right. Tilt. Here's your term. I'm sure they'll define this later on. All right. Tilt is a gaming term associated with frustration, rage, and disorientation of gameplay ability. In this extra exploratory study, we survey 95 esports players in a high school esports league on their definition of tilt. Ooh. All right. So we're talking about high schoolers, bro. We're talking about high schoolers. And here's the best thing about high school, too. Or, not the best thing about high school. But the best thing about this is, like, your brain doesn't finish developing until you're 25. Like, that's when it's fully cooked and fully formed. 25. You can, again, my favorite fun fact is you can understand this, or you can remember this fact, because we can't rent a car in the US before 25 without an extra fee. Because also the insurance agencies are like, you're gonna do some not so smart stuff. Your brain's not fully formed and driving, right? So why I say high school is really interesting is because imagine all the things that you're experiencing in high school. You know what I mean? Like all the hormones, all the social stuff, how everything feels really intense because maybe it's the first time you're ever experiencing it, you know? It's kind of like, you know, when you are really excited, say you've never been to Disneyland before, and maybe you gotta fly to Disneyland, you gotta drive to Disneyland, and like that whole like trip to Disneyland or even getting there, you know, it seems so long. Oh, it says unregistered. Ugh. Well, I guess that is the is that the unlucky? Well, we'll deal with that. Where's center? We'll figure that out. How do I even register, bro? Is this a paid thing? It didn't say that before, but it does now. Alright, well, fuck it. We're rolling with it. So anyway, also really by interrupted by unregistered. So the whole entire trip to Disneyland seems really, really long. Like the car ride seems really long. Wait, like the trip seems really long, but then you get to Disneyland, you have a great time, it's so fantastic, and then the way back home seems really fast. Well, perhaps I think there were studies or some things that came out where if you haven't experienced something before, it seems really, really long or really new or really fresh. But as soon as you experience it, that whole transition back home or that thing seems really short. So in the same way, imagine you experiencing all the things that you've experienced for the first time. Maybe it's making friends, maybe it's fighting with friends, maybe it's failing, maybe it's succeeding. You know, all those experiences seem really, really intense because they're the first time you've ever experienced them. Then, you know, you go through life and then you experience a couple of breakups, you like, you know, make friends, you have more awesome experiences, and like the it's not as fresh and it's not as new. So it's like it's different and it's new in a certain sense, but it's not the first time you've experienced this. So pair that now with imagining how intense the tilt might be, because maybe you don't know how to regulate your emotions. Maybe this is the first time you're really wanting to choke somebody, you know, in game. Maybe this is like one of the first times you're really experiencing tilt. So that's why I'm kind of excited to read this, because like, oh, so cute, you get to experience tilt for the first time. Was it like, you know? And at the same time, when you really think about it, no one, like, who got taught emotional regulation? You know what I mean? Like, who got taught, like, here's feelings, here's anger, here's excitement, here's happiness, here's sadness, and here's how you deal with these feelings, or here's how you this is how you can experience them, and this is how you can like display them. Here's appropriate ways. You know, not many people do that. I mean, maybe what, in kindergarten and preschool, and you use like friendly hands and friendly words, but after that, like, it's a crapshoot, right? All right. In this exploratory study, we surveyed 95 esports players in a high school esports league of their definition of tilt. Oh, sorry. We are not reading the abstract because we're gonna spoil it for ourselves. I'm sorry. Okay. Esports can be a toxic space for social interaction. Bro, what a way to like start an article. I mean, facts. No one can really fight against that one. In fact, it is one of the two central problems of esports scholarly work currently, with the other central problem being lack of diversity, which is indeed integrally related. Diversity. Hot topic. Under the anonymity of the internet, intolerant and hateful speech and behavior on the part of players and spectators can poison the metaphorical well for everyone thus engaged. Communication channels might be abused to harass and verbally assault other players, which negates the very purpose of entertainment games by creating a toxic player community. Fair. I like that, actually. It's funny. The anonymity of the internet. I wonder, you know, do you think that they're saying, like, okay, because you can be anonymous, and I guess the things that you say cannot really be traced back to you, I wonder if League of Legends required, like, NA League of Legends, like, required, like, Korean League of Legends, or even, like, when, Overwatch first came out, where you had to tether your like phone number to your account so you couldn't be anonymous, you know what I mean? Like, you had to be, this is my account. I wonder how that would be different, you know? Esports, or electronic sports, are competitive video games that include elements of individual achievement, cooperative team play, competition, and entertainment. Is that it? Yep. Esports is a dual-player spectator experience where the player of the game also participates as spectators of serious professional play, and the bulk of spectators also play in some capacity. That's true. Most people who watch it do play too. While motivators from playing and spectating differ, the teams are randomly generated and then quickly thrust into a match where their trust in their teammates is immediately tested under pressure. I mean, yes, we're talking about solo queue, right? I think this article will probably discuss or focus more on like solo queue, than on like competitive team play. Because I mean, here's the thing: with competitive team play, I feel like yeah, you can get tilted, and there's different not different reasons for tilt and different directions of tilt. But bro, solo queue is a whole different tilting experience. I really like how they put this. They're quickly thrust into a match where their trust in their teammates is immediately tested under the pressure. That's so true. Honestly, so true. Like you get thrust into this game with four other Randys that are supposed to be on your team and against 5 other opponents, and sometimes it feels like you're playing against 9 other people, you know? And then what is trust? What is trust in solo queue? It's assumptions that everyone wants to win, but maybe not, right? When teamwork works, players support each other, and the relationships built from playing together can bleed out to create supportive, emotional, and esteemed support. I mean, that's best case scenario, man. Best case scenario that we all have a good time and support each other. However, esports construction of high competition and short-term interactions among randomly matched players may also be what encourages toxic behaviors, with noxious players communicating and in-game noxious player communication and in-game behavior. Competition extracts skill and concentration that alone distinguishes it from more leisure forms of play, amplifying stress on players and the pressures to perform. To win, esports players need to regulate their own emotional responses. Absolutely. You know, from a different perspective too, sometimes, if you think about it, what if it really wasn't your fingers that were preventing you from playing the game? Like, for example, if you have, like, ranked anxiety, the goal of playing ranked is not to climb. The goal of playing ranked is to get rid of your ranked anxiety. Because essentially what you're doing is you're doing exposure therapy. You're exposing yourself to something that you're uncomfortable with, the ranked environment. And once you become comfortable in the ranked environment, now you have better access to your skills, to strategy, to the entire game. But if you don't address your anxiety towards the competitive environment, there's no way that you can play. There's no way you can compete or demonstrate your skills. So from a different perspective, whatever you're getting stuck on and whatever you need to learn, that's what you need to do to climb. So for others, for some, it could be getting used to the ranked environment. For others, it could be learning how to play with people. For others, it could be learning how to regulate your own emotions. For others, it could be learning the finger part, you know? So really, when you play esports and when you do game, you are really just learning more about you and figuring out what lessons you need to learn in and out of game to help you climb. That's it. Oh. Failure to self-regulate while playing can contribute to perceived toxicity of esport games. One instance of... Oh, let me just highlight that one. Failure to regulate while playing can contribute to the perceived toxicity of esports games. I wonder if they're going to say, like, your perception of the game or others' perception of you playing and giving them AIDS. One instance of perpetuating toxicity can be referred to as tilt. Operationally defined tilt. Love it. A phenomenon which players can are triggered by a person or event in the game, which generally frustrates and other which generally generates frustration and other negative emotion, and in turn starts to negatively impact decision making and gameplay overall. Yeah. So basically, tilt is the distraction. Oh, sorry. Tilt is the decrease in gameplay because you are distracted by strong negative emotions, and because you're experiencing these strong negative emotions, they make you do things that you don't typically do in your game, thus you play worse. Yes, frustration is one. I mean, most of it's frustration, anger, right? See, the other thing, I don't know what you would call this, but on the other side of like getting distracted, yes, frustration and anger does make you play worse, but at the same time, so does happiness or over happiness. I don't know what you would call that. You know, when you're like so far ahead and you're just smushing all these people and you're like laughing with your friends or having fun, and then because you're laughing and you're having so much fun, you're not doing the things that you typically do, or you're making more careless mistakes because you feel like you can do these things. It's like a fun version of tilt because you're essentially throwing, or you're not playing optimally because you're too happy. You know, at the same time, maybe they'll go into this too. Maybe they'll put in sadness or other negative emotions, but tilt also includes too much happy, you know? But I don't know what you would call that. I don't know, chat. What would you call being too happy and then being distracted and not playing your best? Is that tilt? I don't know. Other definitions emphasize repeated failures, hard work that does not seem to pay off, or heightened affect that interferes with objective decision making. While all these definitions lurk in the cultural understanding of tilt, this exploratory study highlights young players' understanding of tilt, an understanding of not only what tilt is, but also how young players understand it will help designers and educators better understand how emotional regulation happens in esports and identify opportunities for better pedagogical. I know this is pedagogy, so pedagogical. I've never seen this word like this. Pedagogical growth and address an emotional regulation failure that may be undermining young players' gaming behaviors. Fair. I like that cultural understanding of tilt. I guess it's. I wonder if they're saying that like tilt looks different in different cultures. Understand? Wait, okay. Okay, so I don't know. It sounds like this repeated failures, so the hard work not paying off. That almost sounds like burnout, you know? And hey, you know what? Burnout can be tilting. All right, background and related work. Tilt as in a term originated from pinball. See, okay, this is the thing. Some people say pinball, and then Jared Tendler would say poker, because you know there is I will read it. I've heard both of these origin stories of tilt. You tell me which one sounds better. You know, is it a pinball term or is it a poker term? You tell me. Okay, where frustrated players would hit the machine, the pinball machine would flash tilt, and the game would be over. Okay, I also think though that not all tilted pinball players would actually hit the machine. I think also like there is a mechanic in pinball where you actually like tilt the machine, you know, to like help move the ball where you want it to go. It's kind of like cheating, but hey, you know, but there is a mechanism. If you tilt it too much, it goes dang and just dies, and then the ball goes into the hole and you lose. The construct of tilt was adopted by the poker community when Brown used tilt as an explanation for why poker players would continue to play despite heavy losses and make increasingly poor decisions. I wonder how. I mean, I wonder how that word tilted, you know, got used. They say this, but I'm like, oh man, I wonder if like how did it then go from, if this is true, how did it go from pinball to poker? Like, oh man. And I wonder how the origin of like, oh man, you're tilted like that machine you're shutting off, go into, you know, poker. But that's for my ADHD brain to think about later. But yeah, okay, maybe the origin story is both. Maybe the origin story is both. Okay. Widely known in the poker community, tilt is associated with losing control due to negative emotions, or even letting any emotion, positive or negative, influence rational decision making. So I guess tilt would go for positive and negative. Let's go. Yikes! What happened? Irrational play patterns due to streakiness can also be found in physical sports. The hot hand fallacy is a common misbelief of basketball players and fans that a player's probability of scoring a shot is higher after a successful shot than after a failure on the previous shot, regardless of the fact that there is no positive correlation between the result of successive shots. In fact, it's statistically higher, or it's statistically harder for you to make a shot in a row. For example, like, okay, I mean, here's the example, right? What is the statistics of making a shot if you shoot it? It's 50-50, right? But if you shoot the next shot and you assume that it's going to be the same, the probability of that is lower, because basically it's 50-50. I believe it's times 50-50, so it's like 1/4 and then an eighth, so halves, I believe, if that's the math. But don't quote me, I'm bad at statistics. But what they're saying is, like, if you shoot again, statistically it's 50-50, and it's harder to do 2 in a row. You know what I mean? Even though gambling and physical sports require acute mental and physical skills to compete at the professional level, the results are affected by coincidence and probability, which leads players to obtain such perceptions. That is a fallacy. It is a fallacy. And at the same time, does that also, though, does the hot hand fallacy also contain a piece of, like, self-fulfilling prophecy? Like, okay, I made this one, okay, I'm gonna make the next one, and your belief that you're actually gonna make it helps you make it, you know what I mean? As adapted to esports, Tilt is described as a part of the player experience. Yups. I mean, okay, you know, the whole thing is like, you know, when you ask players, like, do you tilt? Or like, oh no, I'm tilt proof, bro. They're lying. If you think you're tilt proof, you're lying. Everyone can get tilted. Everyone has a limit to their cognitive endurance or their focus or whatever, and everyone experiences emotions. So for someone to say I don't get tilted, that's a bold-faced lie. So if you say you don't get tilted, liar. Broadly, tilt is an emotional reaction to in-game events that cause a deterioration in gameplay. Tilt in esports is primarily associated with frustration and rage while playing, and comes up alongside investigations of toxic or deviant behavior. I like that. Toxic or deviant behavior, lol. Frustration and rage, bro. And your frustration and rage deteriorates your gameplay. Fair. That sounds about right. Like in other sports, it is followed by repetitive play, which may lead to losing streaks that negatively impact the player experience and may even disengage players from the game itself. Sure, FF for life. Research have highlighted the role of anger and frustration as one form of emotional motivation, and designers have looked to facial recognition software and physiological wearables to help detect these emotions. Okay, this was my thing. Like, I've gotten like approached by some companies that want to do the wearable stuff. Like, oh, can I tell if someone's fatigued? Can I tell if someone's upset or happy? It's like, why do you need wearables to tell you that? Like, I think if you need a wearable to tell you that you're upset or happy, I think we kind of messed up somewhere, you know. Or is there a better way to increase your awareness of what you're experiencing versus heart rate or something? Like, obviously something's different, but it's your emotional experience, and I'm more concerned that you need an Apple Watch to tell you this is the emotion that you're experiencing, or that the camera is looking at you and you're not able to distinguish, and you need a camera to tell you, oh, you're looking mad. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really understand when people approach me like, oh, can we make a wearable to do this? It's like, well, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I think you could also ask Devin, hey, Devin, how you feeling, brother? Are you upset, angry, sad? And I hope Devin could say, like, I'm this emotion, you know? Okay. Researchers have highlighted the role of anger and frustration. Okay, yep. And designers. Okay. Anger and frustration, though, while commonly associated, is only part of tilt. Yes, sub, less saw. I believe so. Where is that? But here's the thing. Like, reading this back, right? Aside from the emotional affective aside from the emotional affective component, tilt is also tied to the erratic, irrational, and non-strategic play and decision making resulting from these emotions. Okay, yeah, sure. So basically they're saying the emotions are only one part of tilt, and the second part of tilt is the thing that the emotion makes you do. Fine. But this is the interesting part. This thing. Where was it? When they used anger and frustration as one form of emotional motivation. Yo, what's up, Joe? Yo, why I think that's really interesting is because, like, okay, I think the same thing applies when you talk about, like, why people go on Twitter or why people stay on, like, TikTok and why people get polarized is because what Facebook found, basically, in The Greatest Hack, go watch that documentary, is that puppies and fun things and things that make you laugh, sure, you enjoy consuming that stuff, but it doesn't make you stay. What makes you stay on Facebook and what all these social media things want and pay for, or if it's free, you're the commodity, and what you're paying for each commodity instead of money is your attention, right? So what they found was that your attention doesn't typically go to the fun things. What your attention really wants to find is the things that make you mad and upset, and why people are stupid and how could they say that, and oh my god, how could they believe these things, and you go down the rabbit hole of how people are stupid, right? And then you spend like 8 hours looking at this stuff. Using that same, like, logic, bro, think about Tilt Q. Right? You're drawn to play. You want to play more. In fact, you queue up more, probably tilted, because you have this frustration, you have this rage that you need to win this game, and probably after you even get that one win, you're like, oh my god, and then you play some more, right? And then you lose, and then you start the cycle over again. So that's why I love the reason why they used emotional motivation to play, because sure, happiness can make you play, and if you're really happy about it, you want to play, but this Tilt Q, emotional motivation, I think also pushes a lot of people to play. Irrational and non-strategic is a good way to put it, Imo. Like, in poker, when you tilt, you actually make non-strategic decisions, or at least fail to apply some aspect of strategy that you know better. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all it is. The other part that they pointed out, Joe, was that anger and frustration is only one part of tilt, but the second part of tilt is absolutely what you just said, what the tilt makes you do. In online battle arena mobile games, such as League of Legends, players are divided into two different roles, on two teams that work to conquer the opponent's team's base. This primary goal of destroying the other team's base is supplemented by individual metrics of performance, such as kills on the other team. Prior work in motivations to engage with MOBAs has indicated the importance of social interaction in these games. True. Oh. And how player individual motivations and goal approaching the game temper their expectations and what causes them to react aggressively, right? Because I mean, essentially what you're thinking about when you play League is that you have assumptions, you have expectations that, okay, maybe, and here's the kicker, right? All those comes from your sense of value, like your internal, like, values, what you believe in, what you like, why you play, what you believe teammates should do, how people should respond, you know, all those kinds of things. You bring that into the game, and then depending on how other people do, makes you tilt or whatever. Because basically, if you think about it from a different perspective, tilt also comes by a missing expectations. I think things should be this way. I think I should have played, with using Joe's example with poker, I should have had these cards, or I should have been able to play these better, or I made that mistake and I should not have. And once you say should, you're hitting your value, you're hitting something that you think about, you're hitting your own edge of your mindset, and because of that, it didn't go your way, upset, irritation, right? So from a different perspective, all tilt is a missing your expectations or your beliefs, and that's it. And then reconciliation between what just happened and what you want to happen, or what you expect to happen. Right. Previous research on toxicity more broadly in competitive video games have focused on the collaborative player experience and the level of communication that is needed to not only play, but play effectively. Ku and Gu, nice, bro. Or Kao and Gu, nice. Discuss the unique experience of playing with strangers in temporary teams. Good communication is necessary in order to be successful, not only in a particular game, but in overall self-improvement as a player. True. Problems in communication, poor social interactions, can destroy teamwork. Can? Bro, destroys teamwork, period. More experienced players are able to adapt their skills and strength in order to facilitate team cohesion and strategy. You know, another reason why I think this is true. More experienced players are able to better adapt. Oh my god. Oh my god. More experienced players are able to better adapt their strategy, their skills and strengths in order to facilitate team cohesion and strategy. Why I think this is true is because, I mean, think about, this relates to like creativity, right? Like when people say, oh, you're so creative, how do you think about that? Like, wow, I didn't know how you could put those things together. The reason why someone can be creative is because they have a strong understanding of the fundamentals. Because once you have a strong understanding of the fundamentals, you can integrate them in different ways that people may not think about. You can do things that you think people will anticipate and then do something else, or put together your skills in a way that maybe no one has seen before, but because you have the fundamental skills to do it, it's like, wow, I never thought you could do those things. So I think this is why, like, even though in previous years, I think esports was like, oh, we really want young players because they have like fast switch muscles and they can have good reaction speeds and all these kinds of things. I think teams are also understanding the value of having more experienced players because they have more, they have a better command of the game. They can see the game from different angles. They can see the game from different perspectives. They can play maybe different styles. They also bring leadership and experience to the table. And so I think that is really, really important. When people have more experience, they can better do these things versus I don't have a command of the basics or the fundamentals, so I have a very rigid understanding of how to play the game. And even though someone else with more experience may tell me how or show me a different way to play the game, I do not have the understanding or the command over the basic mechanics or fundamentals of the game to allow me to see it from their perspective. So I think it's really interesting when people or players or even coaches have like, this is the way the game's supposed to be played. Like, this is the only way the game is supposed to be played. Like, how come? Like, why is it only this way? So I think a sign of a good player or a smart player or a knowledgeable coach or whatever is being able to see many different angles and understand all the angles and then put them all together or integrate them all together or see things from different perspectives. And once someone can break out of their rigid mindset and have a more open perspective of the game, to me, that is the sign of, ooh, this person actually knows how to play. Oh, this person actually knows the game. This person can actually entertain these thoughts without getting tilted themselves because the way they can see it is multifaceted. So I guess the fun takeaway here is when you play your games or even when you listen to your coach or whatever, how rigid is their mindset? And yes, I think it's important sometimes like to have a rigid mindset of like, this is how I want the game to be played. At the same time, it cannot be so rigid where it cannot bend and it's inflexible. So yes, it's good to have a basis of where you have your thoughts and how you think you should play. At the same time, it's also important for you to be open enough and knowledgeable enough and have a command of the basics enough where you can integrate other people's thoughts or at least see where other people are coming from. All right, having different strategies available is also important to understand and managing tilt. Because, I mean, absolutely, just as I said, if you have more ways to play, when something goes wrong, you can go to do a different play. You can do something else, thus, the game's not over. But if you don't have a good command of the game and there's only one way to win it, and that win condition goes away, like, oh, well, it's over, and you get tilted. Makes sense. Players who are highly motivated but also frustrated benefit from a cognitive reappraisal and reframing of the task, while players with low motivation or effort benefit most from simply accepting and acknowledging that they are frustrating. Oh, this is fascinating. So what's really cool about this is that it's telling you highly motivated versus low motivated players, right? If you're highly motivated, cognitive reappraisal works and reframing so you can keep going. But if you're low motivated, look, you just gotta accept that you're tilted. I don't have any motivation to change. I just have to be aware that it's happening versus, okay, I am motivated to change and do better or do differently. Okay, I'm going to use these cognitive skills to help me do that. That's freaking hilarious. I guess also maybe it's not motivation. Maybe it's control also. If you have high control, okay, I can do something. Here's a reframe. Here's something, a different way I can think about it. But if I have no control, I'm just tilted. The end, period. It's going to go away with time. Maybe, bro. Okay, finally, prior research on failure in gaming has firmly established the importance of mindset in learning from and persisting in the face of failure. The face of failure. Absolutely. Okay. Importance of mindset in learning from and persisting in the face of failure. So, what this previous research probably would also encourage you to do in solo queue when you play by yourself is probably not FF. And why I say this is because part of not FFing is learning to fail, or learning how to continue to try to play your best in the face of failure, or if you do in fact fail, how to manage those emotions and to keep pushing forward. Because how many times, I mean, yes, I've heard so many different perspectives on FFing. Well, pro teams just FF and they like prepare for the next game and it saves their mental. Or other people say like, oh man, never FF ever. Like the whole subject of FFing and should you FF, it doesn't really matter. What matters is not the behavior, the FFing, but what is the function of the behavior? So are you FFing because you don't want to play the game anymore, you're tired of it, and you just want to get out? That's totally different than I'm trying to save my mental so I can move on to the next one and try to perform my skills. Versus I'm FFing because I'm just going along with it and I want to get out of this game. So instead of thinking about FFing as good or bad, I think it's the most important thing to ask yourself is, why are you FFing? What are you getting out of FFing? What's the purpose of FFing? And if you are trying to learn from and persist in the face of failing, is FFing the way to do that? People who believe intellect is a fixed, unchained, we call this a fixed mindset, right? People who believe intelligence is a fixed, unchangeable construct are more likely to avoid challenging cognitive tests and less likely to persist as they encounter difficulty. Interesting. Meanwhile, people who believe that intelligence is malleable are more likely to persist in the face of challenge and frustration. Boys and girls, we have hit fixed versus growth. Boom. Whoa, what's up, Billy? What's up, Billy? Absolutely, right? So if you think that it's over, I can't do anything, or this is it, this is as smart as I get, I am hard stuck in my brain, you're less likely to try to do something better. But if you believe that it's malleable, you can improve, you can grow, you're willing to do other stuff. So I think that's another really interesting thing to think about. And here's the kicker about the fixed and the growth mindset. You may have different fixedness or growthness associated with the mindset depending on the activity. For example, here's a personal one. I can't spell. I cannot spell. Like, I think I have some undiagnosed dyslexia, because you know what the worst thing was for me when the teacher, when I couldn't spell in like first grade or like growing up, you know what the teacher would tell me? Sound it out. What was so cringe about sounding it out was I would sound it out, and for example, sound is, this could be a C, it could be a K, sound could be a C, it could be an S. Sometimes it's like a, I don't know, silent letter, bro. You know what I mean? Spelling is so hard. Absolutely. And so sound it out, look in the dictionary. so cringe. I can't sound out something I don't know how to spell, and guess what? If I knew how to spell it, I wouldn't freaking look it up in the dictionary. I don't need the definition of because. I don't need the definition of beautiful. I just need to spell it. So, I say I can't spell, but here's the thing. I've never actually practiced spelling. I've never actually tried to like memorize how to spell things. I lied. I learned how to like memorize how to spell like because and beautiful. Those are my examples. But like, you know what I mean? Like, how often have I practiced spelling? Not very often. But at the same time, I have a growth mindset towards improving in gaming because I know if I spend enough time and lose enough games or watch enough VOD, I can probably improve to a certain level. So just like I'm bad at math, how often have you practiced math? Or I'm not a good writer. How often have you practiced writing? Or I'm just hard stuck gold. Okay, how much have you practiced the strategies to get out of gold? Okay, lurk away, Billy. You know, so that's what makes growth and fixed mindset so confusing for many people, because they'll think, oh, I need a growth mindset towards everything. No. You may not have a growth mindset towards everything, but where is your growth mindset and where are your fixed mindsets and how are they helping and hindering? Again, this stream is not a guilt and shame. It's not a gas exercise. It's self-discovery. You know, we're talking about awareness. That's all. These findings have been seen in gaming context as well, where people of a malleable or mastery condition are more willing to persist in the face of failure and frustration and take failures as opportunities for improvement. I like that. I like that. I mean, how many times have we used gratitude? Gratitude and failure, you know? And that's why I love this word opportunities, because it does incite some type of gratitude language. I have the opportunity to, I have the chance to, you know, great. Love gratitude. All right, so how did these guys get this study? In order to investigate young players' conceptions of tilt, its causes, and its consequence among youth players, we conducted a mixed method study, including a survey of youth esports players and interviews with their staff to understand how they define tilt, what triggered tilt, how players commonly responded to tilt, and whether or not they viewed it as something that could have changed, that could be changed. Bro, just for all the literary nerds out there, this was one sentence. This to this was one sentence. Damn. And just because there's a comma here doesn't make it like a complete sentence. This is the fattest sentence I've ever seen. This is a big, juicy sentence. That should be a competition. Can you say this entire sentence without passing out? I couldn't. Our focus on youth players reflect our broader interest in developing youth programs for learning that build on young people's interests. But here's the thing, okay? Like, the thing I'm wondering about is, like, how many people would be really interested in, like, learning about their emotions or, like, sitting with their emotions and from a different perspective? Isn't that like therapy? You know what I mean? Like, okay, how does it make you feel? Why are you feeling that? When do you feel these things, right? Like, it's therapy. But how many people actually want to do that work? Super valuable work, especially for dudes. Do the work. All right, here's your research questions. Our specific research questions were the following. How do players define tilt? What triggers tilt? What responses do players have? Do they view tilt as malleable? Absolutely, love it. One might reasonably expect that different tilt triggers elicit different responses, and that one's belief about how fixed versus malleable tilt might shape one's responses to different triggers, be they game, loss, self, or other people. I think be their game. I think it's their game, loss, or self, or other people. These expectations represent by the following hypothesis. Hypothesis 1, different types of triggers elicit different types of responses. Interesting. Okay, different players have different motivations to play. That's very true. And these different goals temper their expectations, right? Because what we're talking about is expectations. This is massive, right? Expectations. That's all tilt is. Of the gameplay experience, we reason that these expectations would cause players to react differently when tilted by different aspects of their experience. Makes sense to me. Hypothesis 2. Let me highlight this. Dude, I think I have to register this thing. It is totally not great. But you know what? I'm just happy I'm streaming. This was a goal to get back to it. Okay. One's beliefs. Oh, interesting. One's beliefs about tilt malleability determines how one responds to tilt. Okay, so do you have a growth or fixed mindset? Lol. We reasoned that tilt a player's attitudes towards the malleability of tilt could parallel malleable or fixed mindsets and affect how players respond to tilt. You know, honestly, I wonder too. Maybe it might be important for players to have a growth mindset towards. I never actually thought about that, you know? Like, for example, if someone has a growth mindset about tilt, like, okay, I'm tilted, that's it, I'm done. Once I get tilted, that's it. You know, once I'm tilted, I go boom, it's all over, and I have to stop playing the game. Versus, you know, if I get tilted, I know that this is just a state of being. I know that I can do some breathing. I know that I can collect myself. I know that there's a strategy to decrease the experience of tilt, or I know how to move my brain past this tilt to focus on something else. That's, I'll be fine. So, you know, if you're going to have a growth or fixed mindset somewhere, the suggestion would be have a growth mindset towards your ability to manage your emotions and manage your tilt. Versus, it's over, I'm tilted. Huh, that's a question for, I think I'll ask teams. What is your mindset towards tilt? What does that look like? Do you know how to manage yourself to tilt? Or if you get tilted, is it a wrap? All right, youth esports players were recruited for the study through North American Scholastic Esports Federation, NASIF, one of the largest esport leagues now available for youth in the United States, Canada, Mexico, UK, France, Israel, and Japan. School-affiliated teams compete in structured leagues both regionally and nationally. The NASIF League was chosen as a site for investigation as one of the larger school-sanctioned youth esports organizations serving over 900 schools in North America. Within this program, trained coaches and sponsoring school site teachers serve as mentors and facilitators, working with players to improve their performance with the game and on the team. Dude. A total of... It's so funny, yeah, to think about, like, if you need, like, a NASIF for, like, baseball. Be wild. A total of 95 players and 8 staff participated in the investigation. Ah, come on, staff. The fuck? Which was closed early due to university shutdown of research during COVID-19 pandemic. Unlucky. Students were in grades 9 to 12 and enrolled in their high school's NASIF club. Students in NASIF who reported their gender, 9% identified as female, holla, and 90.7% as male. And 3% is non-binary. Hey. At the time of data collection, this competition, the competitive game played was Riot's game League of Legends, a massive online battle arena game where 2 teams of 5 players each compete in a preset map. Actually, it's only one map, the only map. Unless you want to bring back Twisted Tree Line, baby. And you might be asking, what did they ask these players? Well, I got you. Player survey. The player survey was conducted online as part of a longer survey that included 4 not 1, not 2, 4 questions. 4 questions, and you can only get 8 adults to do it? Come on, guys. Coaches, what are we doing, man? Each representing a separate variable. Okay, tilt definition. What are some words you associate with tilt? Open response. Tilt triggers what gets you tilted. Open response. Tilt responses. When you feel tilted, what do you do? Open response. Perceptions of malleability. Do you think you can change how easily you get tilted? Bro, these are good questions, bro. I might have to ask, like, just players these questions, dog. Maybe not this or that, but, like, the last 2. Alright, staff interviews. As a way to confirm and triangulate patterns found in a player, survey data, 8 staff members, 7 general managers, and 1 coach were interviewed about player tilt behaviors that they observed and strategies they used to bolster self-regulation skills. Oh, dude, I gotta hear this one, bro. A general manager was a school teacher at the club site. Dude, we just handing out titles. You gonna be like a coach? No, I'm the general manager of the stream. Sir, you teach math. But hey, fuck it, you be the GM, why not? In addition to the usual instruction, all interview GMs took an active role in guiding and helping the club, many helping to coach students. So you're a coach, bro. You don't have to say you're a GM. You can be a coach. Students in emotional regulation, communication, and analysis. Even though the teacher GMs were not our primary target, they were interviewed as witness of player behaviors and attitudes. These interviews were conducted as part of a longer interview across a range of subjects. Only tilt-related questions will be discussed in this analysis. I wonder what else they did. All interviews were conducted on Discord by trained graduate level researchers, with the tilt-related portion of the interview lasting 20 to 25 minutes total. Tilt-specific questions mirrored the player survey subjects. Staff members were asked about their own understanding about the tilt phenomenon. Nailed it. See an enemy. Their observations of what triggered players tilt and how players frequently responded, and their perceptions of whether tilt could be changed. While not included on the player survey, one additional question asked staff whether and what strategies staff recommended to improve self-management and mitigate tilt. Dude, we spraying down with water. Just stop. Take a lap. So funny. All right. I don't want to read that part. I think that's boring. I'm gonna skip to results. Huh? They analyze the data through statistics. That's what this section says. All right, results. Okay, our first question was to understand how players themselves define tilt. Tilt is a relatively new construct to esports. So our first, another thing is, I wonder who actually used tilt first in esports. Like, how did tilt get from pinball to poker to esports? I don't know, man. I'm curious. All right, students were not promoted. Students were not prompted with a definition of tilt, but were asked to provide their own. Of 95 students, 3 responded, I don't know. That's impressive, only 3? I don't know. And 6 others had indecipherable responses. They just mumbled the entire time, I guess, or I don't know. Figure 1 below gives frequency counts for player responses to the first survey question. What are some words you associate with tilt? Presented to definitions are, as much as possible, students' own terms. While we collapsed word families such as anger, and angry, differences like mad and angry remain distinct. True. What is worse, mad or angry? I'm mad, I'm angry. I think angry is worse than mad. Responses with a frequency of 1 are omitted. Sure. All right, they said the emotions anger, frustration, and toxicity are players' most frequent associations with tilt. With similar emotions, mad, that's a small angry, annoyed, smaller mad, and rage, big mad. Is the way I would categorize that one. The second most frequent group of associations. Fair. I mean, they got the same flavors, bro. The same flavors. Because I mean, anger, mad, annoyed, and rage kind of same group. Frustration is like smaller mad, I guess. Frustration, annoyed. I guess annoyed is smaller frustration. Toxicity, maybe. I feel like toxicity is kind of like a catch-all that describes the behavior versus I feel this way. Thus, players' definitions are in keeping with the word's current usage within the context of esports with negative emotional reaction at the contract score. Fair. As we go down in responses frequency, we can see Brown's degradation of gameplay component also enter as both cognitive, clouding confused, and behavioral throwing. Bro, okay, you want to see the table? I do. Let's see the table. All right. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's blow it up a little bit. Blow it up a little bit. All right. So the first one they got is anger, frustration, toxicity, mad, okay, rage. Bruh. Salty. bad, upset, blaming. See, I feel like they went with, like, they should have went with feelings first. Like, what emotional things do you associate with tilt? Because I feel like flaming, toxic, you know, these are like verbs. Maybe the toxic's not a verb, but like they're describing behavior. Behavior. Let's use the word behavior. Cloudy, confused, disappointed. Emotion, I guess. Fury. Wow. Fury. Well. Temper. See? Sad. Interesting. Sad's an interesting one because it's like the antithesis of the other. Not antithesis, but like the... what's the other one? Antonym. It's like the opposite. Interesting. Alright, esports program staff definitions included anger and frustration, a sense of hopelessness, indicated by a loss or losing streak, okay, and types of toxicity. While not expressed by players, staff members also discuss tilts as deviance from the usual level of gameplay. I mean, fair. Thus, associated words with definitions, words and definitions vary. Player and staff definitions do keep in line with tilt definitions and how the term has been used in poker and portrayed in esports media. Yeah, consistency is key. Dude, I'm sad that we didn't hear any like Gen Z or Gen Alpha speak, you know? I want to learn some of these words. Okay. Tilt triggers. I'm gonna finish this. We'll see how far we get. When players were asked what triggers them to tilt, their most common modal answers, their team members, bruh. It's not the enemy team. It's my team. That's kind of interesting, right? That's that kind of surprises me. Huh, let me try to think. I mean, chat, for you, what do you tilt at in game? Is it the other team? Is it your own self? Is it the enemy team? Interesting. But I wonder if that's because, like, the assumption and expectations when you're on a team is that they're gonna help us win. You know what I mean? Or they're on my team, so we have the same goal in mind, and when they start throwing or like griefing and they're not doing the thing that's even worse, then I expect the enemy team to try to kill me. Maybe that's it. Maybe you expect enemy team to do some stuff versus you expect my team to not do those things to me, you know? That makes sense. All right. Answers that fell into this category included examples such as bad and trolling teammates, not having a communicative team, and my team making obvious mistakes. Ooh, hard asses, kids. Jeez, calm down. The second most prevalent response was other players. I guess other players, I mean, sure. Simply it's others. Well, I guess others, but like, what the direction of others? Without specific role or relationship. Example answers here include other people flaming or bad-mouthing me. Fair. Toxic players, and people using particular tactics such as campers and spammers. Can you camp? I guess you can camp in League, in a bush, yeah. I guess that's a camping. Opponent players, on the other hand, were reported as the tilt trigger only 2% of the time. Only 2% of the time? I'm gonna get TikTok on this. That's so interesting. Only 2%. Like the melt. Thus, while other players appear to be the primary cause of tilt among players surveyed, it was predominantly not competitive players that tilted players, but collaborative ones. Now, that's really interesting. Okay, now the question from that is, how do you prevent yourself from focusing hard on the teams? Okay, ooh. Maybe it's okay. Again, if you have a high sense of control and a high sense of motivation to fix, or if you believe tilt is malleable, right? Maybe it's the expectation, or maybe to link this to other psychology. Maybe it's the fundamental attribution error in gaming, right? So I believe the fundamental attribution error is when people do things that are bad, you believe that's because they're a bad person. For example, if you're driving in a car and somebody cuts you off, you think, wow, that guy's a freaking jerk. They're just an asshole driver. That they just don't know how to drive. That's just them being a bad person, right? But if you were to cut someone off in the car, or someone you know cut someone off in traffic, then you would say, if you did it, oh my god, I'm just in such a rush. You know, I don't usually drive like this, but, you know, I have to get there now, and that was, you know, that was bad. Versus you wouldn't say, wow, I cut that other person off because they're a jerk. Or, you know, if your mom cut your, you know, well, first of all, if you like your mom, or if your mom cut someone off in traffic, like, wow, mom's really anxious and needs to get there, versus, wow, mom's being really kind of a bitch right now. So I wonder too if it's the fundamental attribution error where you are also thinking, man, my teammates are really trying to screw me here, you know, or wow, they're just playing so terribly on purpose, or wow, they're making these mistakes because they're trying to drag me down. And then you hard focus on that versus, you know, everyone makes mistakes, they're learning or whatever, and just, you know, seeing them from a different light instead of, wow, they're doing this to me on purpose. It's, oh, they're making mistakes on accident. I wonder how that would change the tilt or the perception of tilt, you know? So I'm gonna write that here. Fundamental attribution error. Boom. All right. Interesting though. That is fascinating. That's such a high number. But not. I thought it was 90. It was 36%. And I'm gonna also add, you know, okay, maybe to half of this, so 11. So maybe it's gonna be like 47% because I'm gonna assume that 22% was like, oh, others. But if I take half others, if they're gonna put a direction on it, others as in my team or others in the enemy team, say half of them say that, right? So it could be even up to like 47%. That's like almost half. Math. All right, beyond the frustration caused by other players, self was the most frequently cited trigger. Wow, okay. Interesting. It's like enemy, it's my team, self, enemy team. Interesting. I'll write that down too. So it's my team, me, 1, 2, 3. This is level, well, tilt direction. Fascinating. Fascinating. Okay. Excuse me. Nearly 1/5. 19 of nearly 1/5, 19% of players surveyed reported that frustration or disappointment of their own gameplay or gameplay performance was a primary tilt factor. Again, I believe that's because people expect more of themselves. Props. I guess, yeah. I also read this. Related to expectations. Because I think you expect your team to want to help you, and you expect yourself to perform well, and you expect at the other side for your enemy to try to screw you. So when your when your team doesn't help you tilt, when you don't do the thing tilt, but if your enemy team kind of screws you, like, nah, I predict that this will happen, right? Responses in this category included dying to something I shouldn't have, or doing something I know is wrong, but I still do it, messing up and my own mistakes. Such self-tilt may be reflective of the narrow esports context alone, or may well be a part of the current stress and anxiety epidemic among teenagers and the US pressures to excel. Interesting. Wow. You know, honestly, I really like being a millennial. I really liked growing up where there wasn't cameras everywhere, like video cameras, and if you did, like, you'd have to see it, you know? or like being on social media all the time, because I feel like sucks, man. Like I feel like it's so hard to grow up now, or it's harder, or one aspect of that's harder growing up now is that I feel like you need to be in chat. You can let me know what you think about this. I feel like for young people now, you need to present well in person and online. Whereas a kid, I didn't have to present online at all. You know, I didn't have to be like manicured or like here's a happy version of my life. It was like Zanga. We could like give you updates of a life that was like a blog that we all read, or like a MySpace, you know, where you like post pictures of stupid stuff or whatever, and like a song. But it wasn't like here's a manicured version of me and my life, everyone like it, you know, or this is how I need to present myself 24/7 in front of everybody because there could be a camera, you know. So dude, rough. And I'm just thinking about that when they said like the social cultural concept of high anxiety amongst teens or young people right now. Rough. Nope, I don't want that. I want the other thing. Okay, I got my pointer. Where's my pointer? Okay. Finally, losing 14% of responses. Or a string of matches and issues with the game itself. Fair. Bugs. Mel, you know. Were the lowest reports of tilt triggers. This makes me think the loss itself is not as tilting, but essentially it's how you lost that probably is more tilting. Which means, from an ass backwards kind of perspective, it's not always the result, you know? It's how you got said result. It's always about the journey, my friends. Never forget, it's about the journey. It's about the journey, because it doesn't matter. 14% is losing, but bruh, 36% is the other team. And I wonder, on the other side, if you ever had this experience where you were winning a game and your teammates were still assholes and you're still tilted after, or you won the game but you didn't play up to your par of performance and you're still tilted after. You know what I mean? So interesting that losing and the game, makes sense, is like the lowest parts. I can even write percentages here, yeah? This is 36%. You was 19%. And the enemy team was 2%. Like the melt. That's right, 2%. Is that correct? That's even lower, bro. That's even lower. Okay, I guess right here, this is where... Okay, you know what I'll do? I will move this like this. This is now not number 3. This is number 4, right? And number 3 is losing. And losing is 14%. Bro, even crazier now that I do this. Oh, I guess they show you this too, huh? I guess they show you the fucking whatever. Put this in my notes. This is my notes. I wear it here for me. Okay, so number 4. Number 4 is the game. Is 3%. And number 5, the enemy team is 2%. That's so insane to me. And why this is so nuts is like, and they show you here too. Like, this is so interesting. This is the lowest opponents too, because we expect this. We expect this here. We don't expect this. We expect our teams to want us to do well. Others is I don't know what to think about this one, because like, where's others? Self though, I feel like it's like a general catch of these two. Whatever. But I feel like you expect yourself to do well. The loss is, to me, the loss is interesting when compared to this and this, you know, or this and this. Interesting that this is not even that high compared to these other things. but probably these other things contribute to this, you know? And then the game, what? Bro, you want to see a bunch of liars? Right here. This group of 3%? Freaking liars, bro. There's no, you guys get tilted. There's no one that doesn't get tilted. Liars. That tilts me. Okay. Responses categories as loss include examples such as losing, seemingly easy victories, and repeated losses. Responses categorized as game included unbalanced, untested game mechanics. Mel. And when my controller doesn't seem to respond. Bro, that's an equipment issue. Thus, while loss conditions and the game are sometimes the content of tilt episodes, they're not as often seen as triggers for tilting in and of themselves. Man, I think this is, I think this is where I'll leave it for tonight because I have to go to another meeting. But this is really fascinating. This graph in itself, dude. Let me get smaller. Like, I think this is fascinating when it comes to tilt. And then I guess for you, chat, how relevant is this for you too? Because we're talking about high schoolers, right? And I wonder if this changes in college, or I wonder if this changes with more brain development. You know? I wonder with more understanding and experience, does this change and does this shift? Or does it remain this way? I also, like, I think my two big takeaways is this graph, one. And the second takeaway from me is having a growth or fixed mindset on, can I regain the tilt? Can I address the tilt? Or tilt just happens, you know? I think those two things are really, really interesting. Like, I guess the question for you now is, what is your perceptions of tilt? Do you believe that you can change your state of being? Do you believe that it's just something that happens and once you get there, it's over? Or do you think you can regulate your emotions? You know, and then another thing is, where is your tilt? What are your what do they call them? What are your tilt triggers? And where is it directed? I guess that is the most interesting thing. So tonight we covered that first part about tilt, and then later on we'll cover the tilt responses and stuff like that. Whew! I'm not gonna lie, that was super fun. I haven't streamed in a while, but I had on my calendar since the beginning of the year that I was going to stream more. So I definitely want to do this again or be more consistent in it. So shout out to No Evelyn GF. Thanks to Jack for coming too. And Billy, as always, thanks for chatting me up. I thank you guys for coming. I hope you guys learned something. And thanks for hanging out with me on my first day back. I don't know where to put this Pikachu. I don't. My mom-in-law gave it to me, and I guess it might go in the corner, but that's where Dobby goes. But I don't know. And I feel like it's an uncanny valley Pikachu. Like, I feel like it's kind of like Pikachu, but there's something wrong with it, and I haven't figured out what it is. But it's giant, and I don't know what to do with it or where to put it, but that's why it's just here. But if you can help me figure out where to put it, or where you think it should go on cam, you let me know. So it's gonna cruise there. But I shall be back. My goal is Tuesday, Thursday, and then maybe I'll add another day. So maybe I'll stream something else, or maybe I'll play some games. But thanks for coming to Reading with Ryan, I guess, or welcome back to Reading with Ryan. If you want to learn more about me and what I do, please visit my website, psychsensei.com. And there you can fill out a free consultation form, and you and I can figure out why you're tilting, what your tilt triggers are. Maybe we can look at your mindset and see where your bits of growth or your bits of fix are, and massage some areas and switch some stuff up if you'd like. But please visit my website, psychsensei.com, or please join my Discord and get all the links there. I try to drop a piece of content, like, a lot. So follow all my socials, my TikTok, my Instagram, my YouTube, all those kinds of things. All right, friends. Well, please be safe. Please be warm. Thanks for coming. I hope you guys learned something. And as always, stronger mental wins. Love you. Bye. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Billy. Thanks, Nam and Jeff. Bye.